Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks Plays KSP. This is episode 40 of our Interplanetary Voyage. And in this episode we are launching our first jump beacon, the one that we have engineered lovingly in the previous episode. So without further ado, let us just hit the accelerate on our Kerbal construction time. After what we will be hitting the launch. And this is a small jump beacon, the shortcut, which I plan to launch in 2.5 times acceleration, of course, for smoother frame rate and much more fun and fluidity. Now, 3, 2, 1, go. We have a launch and our rocket is running straight and true, which is always nice to see. And this is quite a simple rocket, so not really that much anything fancy or any of that stuff, but I think it would still be an important technology to take, because we should be rendezvousing with our refueling station, because we need to pick up some carborundum. Okay, booster separation and making sure that we burn ever so quickly for the apoapsis, which should be around 100, and then hitting the, well, decelerator or whatever you can call it. But I am making a maneuver node, see that we can have a nice encounter, hopefully. Circularizing and see if we can get that encounter in the first place. After a little bit maneuver node fiddling, we get it roughly in the ballpark. Don't need to be exact right now. Decoupling the fairings. And as you can see, we are using 2.5 meter rocket to bring us up, and then after that we are launching the 1.25, because we don't really need this big. We only need to get to the almost geostationary orbit around Kerbal, but yeah, somewhere in the ballpark anyway. So we are pointed in the right direction and we are ready to start our burn. We should be starting in 2, 3, 1, go. Alright. So far so good, we have a very good thrust weight of 8. Okay, and that would put us somewhere in the ballpark for the rendezvous, I guess. Yep. As you can see, we have 2 close rendezvous markers. So I think that we are now somewhere, and we have our target boldly displayed at 19.4 kilometers. So I'm just thinking even burning a little bit towards the target and try and get, well, at least some positive velocity towards it. Yep, as you can see, we are definitely going to the target. And we will be passing it by 4.3 kilometers in 4 minutes. So just a little bit of tweaks. Now I just want to make sure that I point myself retrograde to the target. Something along these lines. And then having a short burn just to align the 2 target retrograde markers, the target retrograde and our retrograde marker. But it seems that I'm only increasing the distance. Interesting. Yeah, because it's in 3 minutes, so yeah. Might as well come a little bit closer. And we are going at 46 meters per second relative to the target, so I'd argue that's not the best approach, I can tell you that much. So I think what I'll need to do is rather flip myself the other direction and burn a little bit towards the target to get to some velocity there. Yeah, see, this is decreasing our approach, which is good. Alright, with that thing out of the way, we are going 2.1 kilometers in 3.10 seconds, which I think, or 3.10 minutes, which will be, I hope, on the sunny side, which would be just a perfect place for the rendezvous. I'm making sure that I'm accelerating towards the target, and we have a beautiful sunrise. Hello. Okay, our approach lies at 0.7 kilometer. I think it's that time that we ditched that ascent stage, and then we can actually slowly start aligning the rest. I always nowadays put ullage motors on that ascent stage just to kick it at least out of the same alignment as we were. If not, return it back to Kerbal, that would be the preferred choice, but I mean, yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. 32 meters per second relative. Okay, let's target from our maneuver or from our docking port, and soon we should be entering the refueling station physics range as soon as this mark passes, I think 2.3 or 2.2. And there we have a hiccup. Followed by the loading of the station, and we are coming in. Now we are coming in pretty hot at 27 meters per second, so but then again we are quite far enough. (1,000 meters per second). I think we should start reducing our relative velocity to the target to some more manageable, I'd say 10 meters per second. But you see, I like that we're approaching this quickly. This is also one big boon. Okay, reduce to 14. I'd still say this is acceptable. Okay, 8 meters per second, and when we come closer, we will kill the relative velocity and start the alignment dance. Okay, 3.4 meters per second. Let's set the docking port as target, and this is a small, nimble, well-balanced craft, so docking with that one is actually quite easy. Okay, great. And I think we can actually, flip our craft and start aligning. Yep, flipping the whisk upwards, putting the orange reticule in the middle, which is my standard process, and then it's forget about rotation and just do the translation dance. Okay, I mean, it's not perfect, but I'll say it's good enough. And time to use the translation thrusters. So putting the yellow whisker on my mod just behind the green markers, because those will be pushing this in the correct direction. The goal is always being aligning these or green markers in the center reticule. Okay, relative velocity of 1.20. We are coming in at 1.2 meters per second, which I believe is quite decent. I heard some of my commenters saying that coming at 0 point something. Well, if I did that, then the whole episode would just be the docking. So yeah. Okay, now we go at 0 point something when we're really, really close. And docked. That's how it's done. Now, speaking of that, let us transfer carborundum to the smaller tanks, which we have the shortcut beacon, then we have the KSU-1 carborundum tank, and I think that those are all actually. I don't have much more. Great, so stop. Do we have anything more to contend with. I could be filling up the FLT flight tanks, because then we can actually get to the full geostationary orbit, I guess. Perhaps. I'm not sure. I have tested some, but not all, so what would be the fun otherwise? Okay, let's see, now we decouple, and I think we will be shooting for the Kerbal stationary orbit, which is, if my memory serves me, around 2,800 and something. So, but we first want to get past this beautiful supply station. There we go. And on the way out we extend the solar panels, because yeah, we want to have good power generation, why not? Great. Oh, this is some screenshot worthy material right there. Nice. Now, time to set up that maneuver node. So add maneuver. And we put you up to the apoapsis of... Let me just Google if I can find the right one. That would be around... I could go for 1,849 kilometers, but... Now let's go for the full 2,2800, and I think it's around 40 or 50. We can keep it at 2,867, I guess. I'm just making sure that it's fully equatorial. And we can use the fine tweaks to make sure that it's well aligned. And I'm trying to get it also over the KSC, which is another thing to think about. But editing number node 2, I'm just trying to figure out how much delta V do I need to circularize 400, total 400 and 650 and 243, and I have a total of 1,300. So I think we're good. Let's execute the plan maneuver, and once again the beauty of playing with a flight computer. Hell yeah. Time accelerating because we are drifting away and waiting for our maneuver node burn. And we are burning. Bye, Kerbal refueling station. Thanks for all the carborundum. I would like to say bye and thanks for the fish, but I guess I don't know if carborundum or fish, but I would expect that it's something else, but you never know. Now then, as we perform the burn, which is taking some amount of time, even with time acceleration. Okay, 50 more meters per second to burn, and we're out. Great. Time to do small corrections, great, and then what we want to do is to have the circularization burn. Okay, and let's set up that burn. Oh, it will be pretty nice above the KSC. Awesome, as if I engineered it. Which I did, but I mean, it won't be perfect, so I don't like touting my own horn. Okay, 2,863.38 with 34. And that's 425 meters per second, and we have 266 in this current stage. So we will need to factor in the staging in as well. And we are burning at the apoapsis, which we're coming in 1 hour. Okay, our electric charge is slightly depleting, which worries me a little bit, but we should be high enough so we don't need to care. Right, okay, great. 3 more minutes. I would really prefer not this burn to be on the dark side, because this little dinky engine doesn't have an alternator. Okay, and we are burning. Hundred meters per second to burn. 20, and we're here. Awesome. Great, and I believe that would conclude our deployment of this probe. I just need to do some tiny corrections, but okay. Right, now let's just point it, I'd say normal. Thrust limiter, I just want to make tiny burn to make the orbital period of 1 day. Exactly. Perfect. I'd say that's as close to geostationary orbit as I want to place it. I don't want to place it any more closer. Okay, screenshot, and I'd say target, mission control. Activate so that we have a direct connection, which I think will be great. Awesome. Screenshot. Okay, now we come to the second component, and I'd actually done very little exploration when it comes to this this season too, so I'm thinking of actually doing a little bit of exploratory probe. And I'd like to take the probe that roughly resembles a Voyager or something like that, I don't know. So let's see what we can put in there. And I wanted to use some more advanced propulsion and stuff, you know, just for funsies. I mean, I know that we're playing with sandbox, but I mean, it doesn't hurt that we try and push the limit of the technology while we have this ridiculous amounts of mod. The scintillator pulse inducted, yeah. Fusion generator? Yeah, we could put it. Kerbal power fission generator, sure. Let's put some radiator panels. Well, obviously not large, but I'd say 3 of them should do the job nicely. Okay. Shall I put the extendable ones? I think so. Yeah, those would look much nicer, especially when deployed. Now I want to put some hinges. And then some structural beams. I mean, there was really not any particular reason other than fun to actually create this probe, but this probe will be the first one to be testing my refueling SSTO. I don't want to be taking all of my carborundum reserves, so this one would rather be taking a very oddly looking satellite, which will be completely unbalanced, up into the orbit. And then beyond. Now another hinge to be put here. First put it to small, and then we will be putting this bad boy on the hinge, please. Great. Now, assuming I extend it, this should, yeah, I think that looks okay. Great. I just need to put everything that it goes to 90, not more. Yep, that's correct. And when it extends, well, it covers almost all of the way back. I'd argue to put a little bit more of the structural beams because I really want it to be a little bit more extended-ish. We want to be putting 3 argon tanks. Yep, and then we want to be, hold on, extending this one. I mean, the craft will be asymmetrical, that's for sure, but I mean, it doesn't mean that it needs to be ugly, and for this motor to work, I think we need an exuberant amount of energy. So I need some solar panels as well, and some nuclear RTGs. So I'm thinking putting like 2 RTGs on the opposite sides to balance it out to a degree. Okay, yep, that looks plausible. Now about the solar panels. I need to put some solar panels which won't look but ugly. Now, how about these? Oh, and I believe I said not looking but ugly, right? But how would I retract these? Because when I retract this, I have no way to put it. No. I'm almost leaning towards the normal, like Gigantors, but the Megalodor seems a little bit too big. It's not bad. What if I put it on the top? Not bad, but how about the solo concentrating solar array? It's actually quite hard for me to find what I want because it's kind of a tricky. Let me just extend this boom by 1. Right. Then maybe that would give me some more maneuvering space for the solar panels. Let's see if I go with trio, how it would look like. Ugly, but functionable. Now then, where was I? Okay, so when I fold them, I need something that will be fitting the fold. Will those be fitting the fold? Well, there might. They're a little bit protruding from the dish, but ultimately we don't need to care about it. Oh, and this one got screwed up. Oh, right. Yeah, you are on 90 as well. Okay, great. I could live with that. Now it's a little bit in terms of balancing this craft out, and the fact it only has 1064 delta V isn't really encouraging for me, so I would actually almost argue to put it a bit more delta V. Yeah, this one is sticking out. Sorry, no can do, Chief. We move you, so this probe is A-okay still. But I think we want to be putting some more either solar panels, or we want to be putting something else on that third. So how about some Gigantors? And I'm making it uglier and uglier. Successfully, too. I'm not sold on it. What to do with you? Do I have any better suggestions here? I mean, those two aren't perfect either. So, how about I put 2 solos? I mean, those would be befitting the size, at least. Assuming I can ever set them to face correctly. Okay, seems like I managed. Great. I'm still trying to see if I could get some better solos, 2 more solos, and they would overlap. Nah, nope. No can do. These solar panels are really annoying. Okay, let's put some more tanks. Add a little bit of delta V. 1500, maybe. Now, let's see, what can we do? Yep, looks okay so far. Let's extend the second boom as well, and then we'll be putting some RTGs. Because those should be upping our production, and the reason why I'm doing this is I want to balance center of mass above the center of thrust, because so when we're thrusting that we're not rotating. That's kind of the idea. They're almost well placed. Great. What about when I extend things? Because that's when the things get interesting. Okay. So our center of mass isn't exactly fully aligned with the center of lift. So let's see if we can put a little bit of fuel tanks here. And that would also be maybe helping us with the delta V a little bit. Almost. Almost. Yeah, my problem isn't when they close, it's when they open that's unstable. Yeah, you can see they are not perfectly aligned, so this craft would be rotating heavily. How about if we play something like this? Okay, now is the center of mass is moving. Great. And let's now create probe explorer or Voyager probe Mark 1. So we save it, and then I'm thinking we were gonna put some science experiments as well. I mean, yes, it's a sandbox, but I still want to do science experiments in some crazy places, whichever we find fitting. I don't have a defined mission or destination for this one, but I thought it would be fun to launch it. Okay, decoupler, and then we'll be putting the docking port, which we will be putting as because this one will be launched by an SSTO, which will be my tanker SSTO. So let's reroute it and just set up action groups, and after which I need to also put some antenna just to make sure that I can hold and continue to maintain connectivity, and then action groups, communitrons, solar panels, and antenna, and that should be mostly it. So, well, this is it for this episode, guys. I hope you liked the episode. Like if you like, subscribe for more KSP content that would be coming soon. And until our next episode, I want to thank you all for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing off from VAB.